Hello, friends. Welcome to the Ministry of Imagination, and I'm going to tell you some of the tales of Greenbank Village. Um, First of all, foremost, Greenbank Village is a fictional village where not all, but some of my imaginary friends live. Tom McInhill from childhood, he lives there, doesn't work there, he lives there, but he's got friends in the Shack, which is a pub. And the village is owned by gangsters. More on that in another video, but it's owned by gangsters. They own the land. They're a bit like a mini mafia. It's the best way to describe them. And they've got this gym. They've got two gyms in the village, and that's where a lot of. One of them is just so where they can import and outport rugs. There you go. Yeah. How can I put? What's another way of putting it? Can't think of another word for rugs right now. I am censoring this a lot because with this channel being brand new and everything, and narcotics. There you go. Medicinal stuff. Yeah, but it's you know what I mean. And so they use that gym for that, really. All the gear that they go and do inside there. And then they also have they keep all the stuff like the money and the weapons and the yeah, weapons, money, and all that kind of stuff, basically. And it lives in there. It lives in that sort of in that place. And they have another place where it's an actual gym. They try and they get people. It's a boxing gym, but it's yeah, it is what it is, basically. And then you have the estate on the back where people who buy and sell narcotics and other stuff, which they do. I'm really sorry if I'm badly censoring this, but it's just I really want to get this channel off the ground properly, so I don't really want to have to say the sort of words that, but anyway. So yeah. And there is a post office which has been had. I'll talk about that as well, because there's been a bit of a story in there going on, a bit of a story in there. I really need my imaginary friend Tom McInhill to come on and talk about that. Maybe on the other channel we'll talk about that, but who knows? If you're up for a podcast type episode, yeah. And so there's been robbery, stealing. People feeding from the post office. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm trying to give you a feel of the village. So it's got a post office. It's got a butcher's. I've spoke about the butcher's before. There's a chemist, a pharmaceutical place, sorry. It does have a pharmacy. There's a brand new doctor's surgery. Oh, we'll talk about that as well. Ooh. Yeah. Um, there's there's two gyms which I've spoke about. There's um, there's the estate, which doesn't really belong to the village, but they use it. Um, and there's houses where people live. Um, I mean, some of the places which I mentioned have flats above them, like the butcher's, and the laundrette has a flat above it. Um, and then there's a pub, and people do live in the pub. Again, there's issues in that pub. Well, there's two pubs. There's there's two kebab places. There was three, but the other one closed. There's a curry house. Um, there's a taxi place that's just opened up where people can get taxis. Um, there was a minibus that ran. Oh yeah, and there's one bus stop in the village. Now this bus stop, the bus comes every 2 hours. Yeah, and it was 2 hours, but now it's every hour. The bus runs every hour. Right, just saying, just saying. And there is a village hall because they've got a mayor of the village, a mayor and a mayoress, in the village. Um, they were my stepdad's cousins, but they've now been re-elected. Just saying. Um, there's a lot of politics in the village as well. That's another thing we'll come to as well. Lots of politics in the village. Lots of um, lots of woes. Lots of struggles. Um, it's a bit like Midsummer Murders meets Emmerdale. Um, but I would say more like Midsummer Murders meets Doctor Who. Um, so yeah, so now I've explained the village a little bit. Um, I'll explain. Oh yeah, the police get called a lot in Greybank Village. Just saying. Yeah, they get called a lot. Um, the police station is in Tarleton. They've got no police station in the village. Um, they've got a fire station. That's just. Oh yeah, it's another thing that's just happened. They've just got a fire station. Um, and they've got an ambulance place as well, where the ambulance goes. Um, but yeah, so I want to talk about the people in the village. Um, so Andy Johnson and Lola, his girlfriend, they both live in the village. They live on Leftfield Road, which is you've got the roundabout which comes into the village, and there's like a fork in the roundabout, and you turn off that and you go down this road. That's Leftfield Road, and that's where Andy and his girlfriend live. That's where Reese, Andy's friend, lives, and Tom Mackinhill did live down there, but he now lives somewhere else now. Um, I think he lives on Pixton, Pixton Road. Yeah, Pixton Road. And there's Fleetwood Close. Excuse me. Yeah, Fleetwood Close and Hanks Green. Hanks Green Lane. Um, they're all the roads off the roundabout. Now, Luke, who's Andy's friend, lives on Hanks Green Lane. And the laundrette lives on Hanks Green Lane. Now, the butcher and the pharmacist, they don't live in the village. They both live in Tarleton. But, oh my goodness grief. Now, the butcher, he's called Craig the butcher. And he slept with nearly a lot of women in the village. Um, and he even, there was the pharmacist, when the butcher moved in, he had an affair with, the wife, the pharmacist's wife, was basically, she was having an affair with the butcher behind the pharmacist's wife. And nobody knew. Nobody said anything. This is how bad it was, how sneaky it was. Nobody said anything until Andy's girlfriend Lola, she was a nurse at the time, and she was nursing the pharmacist's wife, before she became, before a nursing change, and now she works for me. But at the time, she sort of like, the wife kind of said, "There's something fishy about my husband. He changes in the butchers." This is something she noticed, and she also noticed that she was going to. He was going somewhere basically, and he was meeting her, and they were having sex. Got to call it what it is. Got to call it what it is. So they were having sex. Now, the pharmacist's wife, she got somebody to follow the pharmacist's wife, the pharmacist's wife, that's right, Lola, had basically, where she was working in the hospital, where she was working, there was somebody going. They basically were following the pharmacist's wife home, right? And lo and behold, they were there in the butcher's house, having a little bit of whatever you call it, right? And then she followed them back. Very sneaky about it. And then the pharmacist had it out with the butcher. And there was a massive fight outside the pharmacy. We're talking fisticuffs, right? And then the butcher, then the pharmacist smashed up the butchers. Literally smashed the butchers up. Then the butcher, when the pharmacist parked his van outside the butcher's, there was a bit of a parking war, but not just that. Tyres were slashed one day. Then the van was trashed the next. And we're talking trashed. And this was going on for a long time. And the customers would go in each week for the... there was a few people going in for methadone. Right? Quite a few people that were needing that medicine to get them better. We'll say that much, right? And so the butcher went in. He had a headache and had a paracetamol. So he went in, and the pharmacist refused to serve him. So fine, that's it, whatever. Next minute, Andy's Lola was passing in her car, and she said, "I'll get you them paracetamol." So she went in, because, at the end of the day, and she had to go at the pharmacist saying, "What you've done is unethical," kind of thing. And then she went to the butcher's and she said, "Listen, I've told the pharmacist he's been unethical for not serving you some medication, but you've done far much more unethical things with his wife." And she put she banged the paracetamol on the counter and walked out, and nothing else was said. And she said to Andy, "Don't buy your meat from there. Just don't buy your meat from there, because he's what he's doing." But Andy knew. But they weren't buying the meat from there anyway. Nothing to do with cross-contamination. But the fact that if they bought their meat from there, and yet, they didn't want to be the talk of the village. Literally. They did not want to be a talk of the village. So that's the butcher's. And he was sleeping with a woman on the estate as well. And that was backwards and forwards. Oh, and the lady that was working in the avenue at the time, apparently, he was seeing her as well. But they can't prove that one. Nobody can prove that one. That's just hearsay. That's just a bit of, that's just a bit of yesterday's chip paper, that. So that's one story. Now, the avenue. You think, going in the avenue for a drink, whoa, I wouldn't just go in the avenue for a drink. Sometimes it can be a quiet pub, it could just be like nothing happening. But some days it can be, Andy's friend, who was a taxi driver, he last got this pub, right? And he was trying to see off this narcotic ring, right? That was selling narcotics. There was opium, right? An opium den. They couldn't prove it. Anyway, the next thing, Noel's doing Xanax and smoking weed and or the leaf, the green leaf, in the pub and in his taxi, right? Not only is he doing that, but he's delivering the bags. He's delivering the bags in his taxi, then going in the pub and working in the pub. And then, the police came in because he was doing something far stronger. He was doing a bit of the brown stuff. He was doing a bit of the brown stuff, and he got searched and everything, and they proved it was on him. Next thing, he can't handle a pub anymore. He can't handle a pub because there's people after him. He's in debt. He's got back into gambling again and narcotics, and then he's absolutely up the wall in debt and everything, right? And that's the pub. And there's been stabbings in the pub. There's been narcotics sold in the pub. There's been the brown stuff that's been sold. The brown stuff. Opium, that's been sold. There's been loads of stuff been sold in there. Bliss, that's been sold. And apparently powdered substances have been sold, right, in the pub. You could go in there on a Friday night. You could buy a bottle of brown, walk out, and that'd be it. And there's been stabbings and shootings and everything. And apparently a guy walked in there with a gun. They couldn't prove it. Held the gun to the barman's head. The barman opened up the till, gave him all the money, and the guy, there was a car outside the pub, and there was a waiting car, and the car shot off. It shot off. Not the gun, people, the car. And there was another car following. I'm coming, Daddy!